Good day, folks. Welcome to Week 7 Financial Statement Analysis. What should you be working on this week? Well, if you haven't finished Module 4, Analysis of Principal Financial Statements, you should do it this week. You need that to complete Project 2, which is due in 2 short weeks, so get a start on it. Start in on Module 5, which talks about IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standards. There may be a little bit of overlap between the videos, but I think it's an important thing to understand, especially when this global environment, we can be comparing different companies, and if they're using slightly different accounting methodologies, you could be missing something when you're comparing them. For example, Boeing and Airbus. So we have those modules you should be working on. Now remember, I built this that a lot of the lectures are done early in mid-April. Okay, and that leaves you the rest of the time after you're done with the next quiz. Then you can work on your final project and nail things down. Try to make it that the end of the semester is the easiest part of the class, and you really get as much done as you can early on. And a lot of you have made great progress. Thank you. It's now worth 18 points, and it's due no later than April 1st. The second quiz has been reduced to 15 points when I look at what I had to put in. The instructions are now posted. There's a sample out there, but sample doesn't have everything because I've added to it. This will take you a couple of days to do. Don't think you can pull out on March 31st and say, oh, I'll do it today. No, it's going to take a couple of days. You got to integrate everything, but we'll read the instructions carefully and plan it. Create an auto or video overlay. Those worked really good last time. We move on again to the discussion presentation, which are an important part of this class. There's been some really good discussion on a lot of different topics, but we look as business is evolving, how we're analyzing financial statements, what comes into effect with strategy of companies. So if I sent you an article and I sent you an email this week and you haven't gotten back to me when you'd like to do that, please let me know when you're ready to have a discussion. It is important that we get all these done again by April 25th. If I didn't send you one, I'll be sending them out over the next 2 weeks, and we'll be making progress. I've been sending more and more out every week. Don't wait. Please just do it. Get it done. If it's cold this coming up week, you and your partner get together, read it, study it, discuss it. What does it mean? What is it saying? What does it mean? And what does it matter? Getting that done. It puts what we're doing into context and things that real analysts are grappling with today. How do you deal with some of these things? So let's try to get that done before the warm weather gets here. Participation in real-time discussions. The good news is that we have another one that's not on Thursday night. I don't know. It seems that they all come together on Thursday night, but this week we have one at 6:30 p.m. on Thursday the 18th. Diversity disclosures. Now, how are we picking this up? We've been talking about it, but how does it now start to apply from a financial reporting perspective? And then on Friday, we have one this Friday at 10 a.m. Good discussion around Royal Caribbean, how they're funding the company, how losses are happening. A lot of good stuff with Jessica and Katrina. So we do have 2, and hopefully the following week we can nail a number of other things down. One of the things that I do want to do is we're doing this, and I've tried to, is to give you what's going on with different things so you have an idea of what's happening in the world and why things are progressing. This just came out. This is Sunday morning at just about 10:01, and this just came into my email. It's the data as of 11:30 this morning on Pi Day. Here's some of the latest numbers. 105,703,501 vaccine doses so far in the U.S. That's pretty good. But at the same time, there were 53,215 new cases yesterday, and 1,725 people died yesterday from COVID. Total deaths are now approaching 347, which is more people that died between World War I, World War II, the Korean conflict, the Vietnam War, and the wars in the Middle East that we've had. There's 29,403,000 confirmed cases in the U.S. So we're looking almost between the actually getting the disease and the vaccine, we're probably at about a third of America has some level of immunity. The risk that we do have is that people who do have the vaccine start going out and people saying, oh, it's safe because a lot of people got vaccinated. No, not yet. We still got to maintain distance and wear our masks. Total cases worldwide, 119 million. That's a lot of people, and 2.6 million deaths. And the U.S. is number one in the number of cases per capita and the number of deaths. So that's sort of an update on COVID. Next thing is last week, the Congress passed a $1.9 trillion stimulus bill. I just want to point out where some of these things are going. There's a lot of things that go in. The big one that we've all heard about is this $410 billion, $1,400 per person stimulus checks. Now, what's happened is they've eliminated it at certain levels. They lowered the level. So not everybody is going to get them. Basically, if you're a married couple and you make more than $165,000, you don't get anything. The previous one, the $600 one, was prorated based on that, but it just automatically stops at that. The other big thing we see there, if we're going down in size, is aid to local and state governments, $360 billion. The actual cost of putting into COVID-19 vaccines and such is $123 billion. $105 into health, education, $176. We come down here, extended unemployment benefits. This is really important because those that are unemployed would have run out of unemployment benefits shortly. So keeping people who are still unemployed, which tend to be lower income and people of color, tend to be more adversely impacted. So this keeps a lot of people alive. There's some expanded tax credits for childcare, and that is an important thing. When we look at transportation, $56 billion, that's a fair amount. A lot of that does go to the airlines. And we look at that. It's also for providing transportation in rural areas. We look at grants to small businesses getting almost $60 billion. And direct grants to restaurants and bars, that lost revenue is going to be about $25 billion. Agriculture is getting $16 billion. Another 194. One of the big ones in here is grants for child care providers and Head Start. So this is how the money is being, how it breaks down, this $1.9 trillion. And as this starts to come in, the economy is going to start to heat up. There is no doubt. When you get all this money starts flooding into the system and people start spending that, I mean, the big piece being here, but all of these are going to generate more revenue. It's going to reduce debt, yes. It'll keep people employed, yes. Just heard that American Airlines isn't going to furlough as many people as they had thought. So it's a real positive thing. But it is going to go on to the national debt, which has some longer-term implications. How did Americans use their previous stimulus checks? I thought this was interesting. And it is, by now, it's almost a year. But I suspect that the $600 and now the $1,400 is going to be spent in a similar way. Food, 60% of the people are planning on using it for food. Utilities and telecommunications, 45. Household supplies, 44. Rent, 25. I suspect that will be bigger this time. Vehicle payments, mortgages, paying down debt, clothing, savings, household items, charitable donations, recreational goods, and then other. Now, when we look at it, I think there's a distinction of how much money you do make and what you did with it. So the average American, remember, 45% of Americans make an average of $18,000 a year. So that's where this is coming from. I think when you look right in here, those in the higher income brackets started saving more, put it into investments, in charitable donations. Okay. Now remember, some of this, what's happened here, savings and investments, this is one of the things that got the more people involved in day-to-day day trading because they were home. And that's where the Reddit and the Robinhood has just taken off, and we've seen some impacts of that. So that's just sort of a brief update of what's going on. If you have any questions, always feel free to reach out. Work on your project too. Think about it from the business perspective. This is about thinking. So think.